This is an excerpt from our conversation with independent filmmaker Aileen Sheedy. To hear the full episode, click on the link in the description. And now, on with the show.
Can we transition that into Last Unicorn? I'm dying to talk about Last Unicorn.
Yes. I want to know Kristen's thoughts on The Last Unicorn because you've been so excited about it.
It was also a movie from my childhood, and I actually really think it holds up, but I want to know what you think about it first.
It totally holds up because I hadn't seen it in a long time and I just rewatched it and I was like, oh, dang, this is like so legit. You know, it's from 1982. There's a little cringe happening, but like, overall, like, it's so good. Like, and I feel like maybe that's due to it being adapted by the writer of the book. Like, he also wrote the screenplay.
Yes.
So I think he really did a good job of like taking the best parts of the book. A lot of the quotes, like the most beautiful quotes about like love and regret and all of that stuff is like straight from the book.
Yeah, those lines are crazy. I love, like, the majority of my review that I wrote for this, that I was going to discuss about this with you, is all about, like, here are all the amazing fucking lines from this movie. Cause
I have them all written down, too.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, as I was watching, I was like, oh, this is like a thing I want to post on Instagram.
I will tell you, this is going to be kind of a recurring thing. It's one thing I always look for with any great movie. There's a stage version. There's a stage musical of The Last Unicorn that was written by Peter S. Beagle.
Oh, what? Oh my God! I feel like I know about most of the musicals based on things, but I didn't know about that one.
It hasn't made it to Off-Broadway yet. I think.
It's new.
No, not that new. It was. When was it? Was written in 1988, actually. Which was only 6 years after the movie came out. So I don't know where that script is now or if anyone's doing anything with it. It exists.
I want it. Yeah, bring it back. If anyone with the power to do that is listening, please, dear God.
All the 5 movies you picked, all of them, I think, have the potential to be adapted or have been adapted into other media and would still work. Last Unicorn would probably be the most challenging because of all the special effects. You would want the Jim Henson Company to get in on your production somehow and give you a full-size Manticore, even just for one scene.
Holy shit. And the Red Bull could be so cool. That could be so cool on stage.
Of Warhorse, but they had these giant like, 2-man horse costumes that looked like they were made out of driftwood or found wood. I'm imagining a Red Bull that maybe has 3 or 4 people inside just storming onto the stage
and it could be like a dance. It could be like a ballet almost. Like I feel like the scenes where the bull is chasing the unicorn have like such dance potential.
Either dancers in white with ribbon dancers in white as the unicorn's being chased into the waves, or ribbon dancers in red being like the flaming horde of his presence.
Yes, holy shit.
Who do we know that does theater? Because now I want to make this happen.
I mean, I know a few. I've said no because I've never done any theater, and I don't have the brain space to get into it. But
I wanted to comment on The Last Unicorn as it's interesting as an adaptation to film from a book, because the structure of the film I found doesn't really play the way a film would, especially because we get to our goal. Our goal is to get to Hagrid's castle, and we get there exactly halfway through the movie. So that seems like that happened too soon. However, it's done for a reason.
And then it just grinds to a
halt and gets
halt.
so introspective. And I really appreciate how mature the movie is. I was kind of saying this movie's not necessarily for kids.
Yeah, it's really not.
Or it's been tweaked from the book to try and be for kids. And I'm sorry, someone has had so much caffeine. I defer to Kristen.
Sorry, I've got like 10,000 things I want to say about it, because it's just, there's 2 parts about that. The story momentum grinds to a halt because we're moving from location to location. We're gathering characters. We're experiencing some super dark shit. Like especially the harpy scene, I think is one of my favorite things ever. That is not kid movie territory. They even gave her like...
She's got boobs, dude.
Got boobs! And like the tree that he gets tied to that he enchants, and then he's just between the boobs of the tree, and then the unicorn like disenchants the tree. You will not have her, hussy. And I'm like, Jesus, this was meant for like 8-year-olds. Holy shit. And like they don't shy away from the death at all. But also like Peter S. Beagle, I think adapting it is exactly what gives it that weird sort of soft darkness that you get out of very rare and fucking potent fantasy stories. They don't shy away from your death sits in that cage and she hears you, you know.
Yeah.
So, they don't shy away from like when Schmendrick turns her into a human, and
Oh yeah, she's going through its whole
and just
mental breakdown
about
and
mortality.
crisis. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mia
I can
Farrow does this thing. We've talked before when we were talking about Rosemary's Baby that Mia Farrow's like wee-fish thing. She really leans into it where there's strength and weakness in her voicing at the same time. And I think it carries that over even more from being a childhood kind of story to being something a little more graphic where she feels death for the first time
Mhm.
and it causes her to grieve, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and go a little insane. And there's Molly like leaning over her going, "What have you done?" She'll trapped in a human body, she'll go insane. Like ideas like that are not an 8-year-old's not going to be able to process that. But I love that. That's my favorite kind of fantasy story because it's not you're tackling ideas that are not articulatable in any other fashion.
Right.
That scene where
Yeah.
we're introduced to Molly McGrew and
Oh my God.
she sees the unicorn for the first time. Like I did not get that at all when I was 8. But the older I
Yeah.
get when I rewatch it, the more it just makes me absolutely fucking sob.
Yeah.
In a way I can't quite articulate. Like there's something about women growing older and expecting something that they don't get. I think in there that really just breaks your heart. And I
Yeah.
I adore that scene so much. Just the pain in her voice asking the unicorn where she's been, and then it would be the last unicorn in the world that comes to Molly McGrew. I just I love it.
Yeah. I love Molly so much.
I
She's like
know.
such a great character.
She
I
is.
realize now that resonated with me as well, but I'd never stopped to think about what she's going through at the end when all the unicorns are freed from the ocean,
Mm.
and she was there to witness that.
Yeah. Yeah, it always that ending feels a little rushed to me every time I go through it. I wish they'd taken about 5-10 more minutes with it. It feels like they were trying to hit the exact 90-minute runtime. And the unicorns coming out of the waves is such a beautiful idea. Like there's a lot of emotional resonance there. And her mortality being what saves Lear. Like there's a lot of pieces in that I wish that they hadn't taken just 30 seconds to cover.
And
You know?
and the unique thing about this versus a Disney movie is in a Disney movie, Lear would have had some kind of redemption arc. He would have seen the error of his ways. This whole thing would have transformed him.
Yeah.
And in this, he goes down bitter and covetous all the way to the end.
Yeah, he wants to fucking. I love the king as a metaphor for depression. Looking at it as an adult, I'm like he's looking for anything that makes him feel good, and what makes him feel good is making the most beautiful creature in existence miserable as shit. And like it doesn't shy away from like he can't find joy or happiness in anything, and that never changes. You know.
Yeah. Well, and also just the fact that his selfishness is destroying the world. He's taken all of the beautiful things from the world because it's the only thing that makes him feel kind of okay.
Yeah. Which is so fucked actually. Yeah. It reminds me a lot of Never Ending Story actually. And then if you read the book of Never Ending Story, it's much more clearly a metaphor for everything that happened in post-war Europe, because it's a very specifically German kind of a story, and so the movie softens it up a lot. But in the book, it gets much darker and much weirder in a way that is very similar to Last Unicorn, I feel like. It's talking about real things in a way that only fantasy can address.